Good to go.
All right. Hey, so we're here with Patrick Madden, and we're going to go over some Chime stuff having to do with the way that Chime uses pipelines to create chatbots, or we call pipeline workflows. And we're also going to show how those pipelines can integrate with our FAQ system. So we're built on a CMS, and we include FAQs, how those FAQs can be ingested and used to populate an index over in Azure OpenAI, and how that can be combined so that a ChatGPT experience can be created with, in this case, in multiple languages, and then calling into our FAQs as the source, as ChatGPT source. Could also fall back to generic ChatGPT. So a little bit about how that's wired and what we're doing there. All right, so a couple things. So we include a full CMS, and the reason we're doing that is because we want to be able to take content and we want to be able to share it to build, let's say, models or cognitive indexes, and in this case, use it to build an Azure OpenAI index so that it can be searched. We also include a very flexible chat pipeline structure. And so what we can do with that pipeline structure is based on customer requirements, we can combine these features, these chat features, in different combinations to really match whatever chat requirement the customer has. In this case, it's going to be supporting two languages, Spanish and Portuguese. When the user comes in, they'll be able to select the language. And then based on that, we can sort of fork them to either a Spanish version of ChatGPT or a Portuguese version. And we're also going to report on all that. And we're going to have dashboards with that. But here we're going to look a little bit under the covers. So we're going to show the FAQs, the pipelines, and some other stuff. Just a little bit about kind of what we're doing here is we do have a full CMS, so we have an ability to create all these FAQs. And we sort of have a synchronization process where we can take all this content and we can share it over in a container and create an index over on Azure OpenAI. So I will sort of stop my screen and we'll go to Patrick. And Patrick, you've been wiring this up, and we have a sample customer scenario that we've created. And first, can we just go through how about the web chat experience of that? And then before you start, here we have a landing page with a whole bunch of FAQs that have been created in Spanish. And then there could be a lot of other ones that aren't featured content. But are we going to use these FAQs as sort of a user comes in to start a chat conversation as source content?
Yep, that's a good question, Peyton. So this is, like you said, this is a landing page that's been kind of translated all into Spanish. And you could deploy multiple of these because you said before that it's in Spanish and Portuguese, so you could do both, or English, for example. And then here we have listed some common questions that we can answer with FAQs, and all of these FAQs are in Spanish. And so if you went ahead and looked at some of these, you could get some easy answers to commonly asked questions. And then these are also all indexed and used in the AI search that we're using in the in this web client chat example that we're about to show.
Right on. And then once this is wired up, the benefit of this is a manager or other people that are part of the service desk or a department could go in, and all they have to do is update their FAQs with new content, create new FAQs, see which kind of questions are generating problems that maybe aren't being solved by say the ChatGPT instance, add FAQs to it to help solve those, and then they can kind of manage it from there, and then all this wiring and all the other stuff is taking place sort of automatically for them. So,
yes, exactly.
So how about you want to kick off a chat conversation? We'll just see a little bit about the user experience, and then we'll sort of dive under the covers and see what this looks like.
Yep. So in the bottom right here, we have a start chat button. So if I go ahead and click that, it opens up our web chat experience. And you can see here it's prompting me which language I would like to chat in.
Yeah.
And for this demo, I'll choose Spanish, but we have both sides of this, if you choose
Yeah.
either option, they get indexed, and you can route based on that. Yep, and then you can see here it's letting us know that we've picked one of the options, and then this message here is letting us know that we're talking to an AI, and then this is the initial welcome message we get from the AI.
All right.
So let's say I have some issues with my Outlook. I could go ahead and I could go ahead and ask a question in here, and then the ChatGPT um, kind of indexed
Yeah.
um, AI is going to pull from the FAQs that we have and give us a pretty good response in there. And then let's say I respond back with, hey, this was able to solve my problem. Um, it can go ahead and continue to speak in Spanish with me, and then I can either choose to end the chat, or if I wanted to talk to a live agent, I could click this button.
Right. Because in a lot of cases, the goal is to move more and more conversations for self-service and
Mhm.
have more and more conversations resolved with these FAQs. But in a lot of cases, you'll still need to transfer or connect with a live agent, and then that contact a live agent would transfer, notify agents via Teams or through a web UI, and then all of this, no matter what's going to be available on the dashboard. So how about we'll just go ahead and let's just finalize this conversation, and then let's just sort of peer behind the scenes and start looking at the sort of the manager side of that, and then dive into what that pipeline would look like a little bit.
Yep.
All right.
So, yep, after I hit that finalize button, it let me know that the chat was ended. So I can go ahead and close this out.
Okay.
And then if I head over to admin and then take a look at the pipeline, we can see what's happening behind the scenes.
And actually, you could get to that through Manager UI too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. If you went manager dashboard
Yeah, let's take a
and
look
then
through that.
pipelines, it's available here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this pipeline, for us, we call it a pipeline, but really it's a chatbot. And these are essentially um, features or modules that are connected so that as a chat session comes in, we can connect these and route, change that conversation, uh, move the session around, and then have it go through different things. So you want to just walk us through sort of what the high level steps are here. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about adaptive cards as well.
Hmm. Yep. So this pipeline here starts, and this is the card where it asks you which language you like to chat in.
Okay.
After that, we do some scripting to basically send you either into the Spanish side of the pipeline or into the Portuguese side.
Okay.
And at that point, that's where it's letting you know that you've routed over there, and then it lets you know that the AI is going to be talking to you.
Okay.
And for both sides of it, it'll kick you into this next pipeline item, which is the AI chatbot. And then from there, you can either deflect if
Yeah.
your problem is handled, or if you need to escalate to a live agent, you can go through there.
Got it.
So
So
I
it,
can go through
it,
the individual items if
yeah,
you'd
just
like.
and just
Yeah.
before we do that, so it looks like those things in brackets are sort of the pipeline activity type. So it's a SIN
Yep.
card, it's a script choice, it's
Hmm.
another SIN card, then it's an AI chatbot, and then it's a
Yep.
connect to agent. So those are like
Exactly.
four
Yep.
or five different sort of choices that we have. And then we're wiring those up together to create this experience. So yeah, you want to go ahead and just sort of walk us through that first, I guess this first root SIN card.
Yep. Yep. So click on that item, and then this is what it will display as for the end
Yep.
user. And then there's a adaptive card editor in here as well.
And then what happens if you pop out that adaptive card editor?
Yep. So go ahead and pop that out, and you can see once I stretch it out,
Got it. So
basically you
that's the
can see what
whole,
type of content these are, and then you can see there's two buttons down here.
So the send card's really flexible and allows us to really add any adaptive card we'd want in there. Have you built some fairly complex adaptive cards?
Yep. Yeah. So we've made complex forms. We've made routing options. We've made menu
Yep.
items, that kind of thing. So you can get pretty complex with these adaptive cards.
And then one more question. Let's say that someone wants to not just have it ask for an English or Portuguese routing, but they might also want to collect some data. And we don't need to show it, but can you have input forms? And then can you also associate data back down to the session from these cards?
Yep. So any of these inputs down here on the left, you can
Yeah.
drag and drop up here,
Okay.
and
All
then
right.
all you'd have to do is set an ID for
Okay.
those, and then once you set the ID, if those cards are submitted, all of that data gets mapped down into our metadata
Got
for
it.
the
So
chat session.
a conversation comes in, and then we can surface whatever card we'd want here. It could have input forms. In this case, it's a simple routing. We
Exactly.
could also save data down. When we save that down, it goes into the chat session, and
Hmm.
then another activity down the road could pick up and look at that data and do something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
And
Okay,
you
so
can
that's the
even
first. Oh, I'm sorry.
add your own custom data if you want here. For example, um, for these, we're adding which language the guest is speaking,
Okay,
and so that's either Spanish or Portuguese here. You could also set various other sets of custom data if you wanted to in here,
got it. All
just
right.
in a JSON format. Yeah,
So we have these full adaptive cards and we're using them here. And then this is that first UI that we saw, which was, hey, pick Spanish or Portuguese. What comes after
exactly.
this that we start to look before we start routing to the ChatGPT instance we want?
Yeah, good question. Let me go ahead and close this,
Yeah, sure.
and I can go back to the diagram. So once you choose which language you want,
Yep.
we go through this language script here, and this is a JavaScript evaluation card or
Okay.
pipeline item.
Yep.
And so it sends you a confirmation message letting you know that we've received the input that you have. And then we just go through this simple script here. And what it does is it looks for what language option that you're using, which was set when you submitted the card. And then we either send you to the Spanish or the Portuguese next step. And then this is mainly for displaying how it looks on the diagram above.
Got it. So here we've come through, and now we're going to sort of fork them. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to route them into, say, Spanish or Portuguese, and also connect them with a ChatGPT instance. Can you just show the next step after this, where we start getting ready to connect them with ChatGPT?
Yep. So if you picked the Spanish option, it would move you over to this next send card activity.
Yep.
And in here, what we have it doing is it'll time out if you get stuck on here, so that you can move into the AI chat routing. Otherwise, it
We're
sends you this
kind of
adaptive
letting you
card.
know, like, hey, FYI, you're about to chat with someone other than a human, and it's going to be AI.
Exactly.
Got
And
it.
then
And
this
that's
is
an
very
adaptive card
similar.
as well.
Yep. Yep. So this is an adaptive card as well. I can pop
Okay.
this open, and then you can see here this is also a adaptive card.
Cool.
And then you can have access to any of our sample data in here,
So that
and
you
you can
could
also
simulate stuff.
edit it from right here. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so another card. Hey, you're about to chat with some AI, and then what do we do to actually connect them up? Because we've got two connections here. One's going to go to Portuguese, one's going to go to Spanish. I guess it'd be easy to connect them with an English as well. How do you wire up the next piece here, where we're going to connect them over, and then leverage some of the FAQ content that we have?
Yep. That's a good question. So once we move through those other couple steps,
Yeah.
we get moved into either the Spanish or the Portuguese AI chatbot
Okay.
pipeline item. And from here, this system message prompt
Yep.
is mainly how you configure the main um, kind of activity and um, language of the AI bot.
So we're kind of
S-
telling the ChatGPT instance how to behave here. You're a customer service agent who
exactly.
replies in Spanish.
Yeah.
We could give them different prompts, but this is the one that you've given so that you're going to get back Spanish and they're going to be acting as an agent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it.
And yeah. So
And is
in
there
here you can do various different system message prompts to get different activity from your AI.
like really anything you'd want there? And is this also where we also have it leverage our FAQ content that we've created that we have staged out there?
Yes. So this is where you can have it either use the default ChatGPT model,
Yeah.
or if you use this cognitive search option, it will go through and index FAQ content that we have deployed onto Chime.
So
Yep,
if you didn't check this box, we would just be chatting with kind of basic old ChatGPT. But if you
exactly.
check this, use cognitive search, all of a sudden it's going to use our data set, our FAQs, as sort of the one of the primary data sources. So if you create a lot of really custom FAQs, we're going to search those. It's going to search those and come back with those as results. Is that what that's doing there?
Yes, exactly.
Got it. And then what's the next thing? Restrict bot responses to knowledge base.
So if you select this one,
Yep.
what will happen is the bot won't really use any of the chit chat
Yep.
kind of options. So if you
Okay.
come in and say, "Hello, my name's Patrick, I need help,"
Yep.
it won't really talk to you conversationally. It'll just try and provide you FAQ items.
Okay. So
Yeah,
that's really like scoping it way down to just using
exactly.
the FAQ.
Yep.
Whereas using cognitive search is sort of a blend of ChatGPT with our FAQ content.
Hmm.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. So the prompt that you gave is going to tell it to use Spanish. You're telling it to use our FAQs as the indexing source. And then I guess there's some magic taking place somewhere where our FAQs are getting ingested over into, let's say, Azure OpenAI indexed.
Hmm.
Um, and so here, are you doing the same way when you sort of move to Portuguese, or are you having a very similar thing taking place on sort of the chat pipeline to have it move to Portuguese as well?
Yep. That's a good question. So this is the AI Portuguese chat option, and then we can see in here it has a very similar message prompt where
Yeah,
we're letting it know that it's a service agent who replies in Portuguese.
got it.
Yep.
And then you're using really the same index and other things here.
Hmm.
You're just kind of like, we've just moved into the Portuguese section. We've changed the prompt. We're going to change how we report on this. So when we report on it, we can say, well, this many conversations moved to Portuguese, this many moved to Spanish, and then this many were deflected, and this many moved to agents, et cetera.
Yep. Exactly. Any kind of data point in here
Yeah,
related to the language of the user or how they routed through this ChatGPT AI assistant can be
right
reported
on.
on. Yeah.
And then one more. So if you were to go back, let's just say that if you go back to the diagram, if the ChatGPT conversational experience, which is what this whole thing was sort of built for, is able to resolve the question or
Hmm.
able to resolve the issue, we're gonna move them on to what, a deflected card?
Yep. Yeah. So we send them a card right here,
Yep.
and this basically thanks them for coming in. We're glad we could help you. Hope you have a nice day. That kind of
Okay.
card. And this can be customized to either provide feedback on the AI model.
Yep.
Um, like, did you have a good experience with this? Did it help resolve your question? Would you like to rate this out of 5 stars? That kind of thing. Any comments?
Got it.
And
And then
then
if you go back to
we
the
could.
diagram one more time, there's sort of two forks here that were taking place. One is, let's just say the ChatGPT is able to resolve it.
Mhm.
And the feedback that we would imagine would be created is it might resolve some initially, but you would continue to create FAQs and modify your FAQs and improve your FAQs based on sort of the conversations that were making their way to the agents. And you could keep building that up, and we're going to continue to index and we're going to continue to surface it. But in the event that this ChatGPT experience isn't able to solve it. What are we going to do next?
Yep. So if the ChatGPT model isn't able to help the end user, you
Yeah,
can have it escalate into a connect to agent mode.
yeah,
And what we have here is a very traditional route to agent. You're set in a queue
yeah.
of other people, and then we have some um, kind of waiting for agent to pick up. Um, Once you're connected to the person, it'll display messages for you, and then once you end the chat session, it can notify both parties.
Right on. So a whole bunch of UI here and a whole bunch of
Hmm.
settings having to do with routing this conversation to an agent. Do we have agent lists? Like, say there are a list of agents that speak Spanish. Is there a concept of routing this to a set of agents that might speak Spanish versus a set of agents that might speak Portuguese, for example?
Yep, that's a good question. So under this agent list option here,
Yeah,
you can have a manager define which agents are suited towards Spanish versus Portuguese,
yeah,
and then you can even have maybe people who are dual or
yeah,
multilingual,
yeah.
participate in both. So if I go ahead and remove this just for now, you can see we have all agents, Portuguese agents, and then Spanish agents listed here.
Got it. And a manager could just go and create a new agent list, and then add agents to that and then kind of do this. So as
Exactly.
this is
Yep.
being configured, that's pretty flexible.
Yep. Yep. So it's
All
it's
right.
pretty configurable. And then each
So
of each of these items down here are also adaptive cards, which are configurable.
so we're reusing the adaptive card there as well. So whenever we're displaying UI, I think it's fair to say we're probably going to display, or whenever we're returning a message back to the end user, back to the person looking for help, we're probably going to wrap that in an adaptive card, aren't we?
Yes. Yep. It provides a good um, kind of user interface where it's a good looking card,
Yeah.
and you can do very customizable messages in there,
And we could wrap
and
branding
do some
around that. We
substitution
could
in there.
wrap, and that's going to look good in both a Teams client if it's coming back to the user in a Teams client, and it's also going
Yep.
to look good in a web chat, I would think.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Okay. All right. And then if you go back to the diagram one more time. So user comes in, we provide them with a language choice, we route them, um, and then they come through and they hit a ChatGPT instance. That ChatGPT instance, I'm going to imagine, is something that was probably, let's say, either configured by us as part of the application level or maybe configured as part of the instance level for the customer. And then they can always use all of their FAQs as additional source content and knowledge base articles as well to resolve things before routing to an agent or deflecting the chat.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Right on. Hey, and then a couple things just to sort of show, I guess. So that's the pipeline. And
Hmm.
then what about managers having visibility into chats coming in? I guess managers would want to see how much content is being, how many chat sessions are going through their system and where they are in the state, and then maybe reporting on them. Can you
Hmm.
just at a high level just show where some of that information might be? It might not be live here, but even if we could just see where
Hmm.
it might be in the UI for a manager.
Yep. So the manager has three different spots where they can look for kind of the content that you're describing.
Yeah.
Either active chats, looking at the chat history,
Okay.
and then reporting.
Okay.
So if we go to active chats, it's probably going to be pretty limited, but you can see we have a couple sessions that are kind of in progress. You can go ahead and
Okay.
look at the session IDs of these. You can take a look at what's happening in the chat, for example.
Got it.
Um, Take a look at some metadata if there's stuff in there in particular that you're looking for.
So active chats are going to show all active. What's the overview dashboard?
The overview dashboard, if you go into here, um, it'll show you kind of the number of active chats that you have, the number of
Yeah.
people who are waiting.
Okay.
It'll give you kind of some context on
Like
how
some
long.
widgets with some metrics and how many people are waiting and average speed to answer and agent
Yep.
lists and things like that.
Yep.
Got it. All right. And then one more thing. Is it possible, what about the FAQs that are created? Where are those managed here in this in Chime?
hmm Yep. So those are managed in the under the content folder here, and
Yep.
then you can go down to the menu item for FAQ,
Okay.
and then we can take a look at any of the ones that have been created.
Got it. So there are a whole bunch of FAQs there, and then we have a whole bunch of other types of content as well, like
Mhm.
pages and standard replies and a whole bunch of other things. But the
Exactly.
FAQs are sort of special here in that they're automatically getting indexed, and they're therefore essentially ChatGPT to absorb,
hmm
and easy to add and easy to update.
Exactly.
One more, and then we'll let you go. Behind the scenes, how is this getting wired and sort of synchronized? Is there some thing that's taking place where we're synchronizing these maybe in an admin level,
hmm
or an administrator could look at content that's being synchronized with Azure OpenAI that kind of is wiring all this up? Is it possible for us to look at that?
Yeah, I can take a look at that. So we have that content up here under admin and then Chime settings.
Okay.
And then we have this Azure OpenAI services,
Yep.
sorry, cognitive search. And then under here, you have a specific storage container that you'd
Yep.
want to be using,
Okay.
and then some cognitive search settings. And then you can take a look at which specific FAQ content items are being indexed. This gives you kind of a health check and a status. And
Yep.
then I can go through here and look at which specific content items are being
Got it.
indexed, and then which haven't been indexed yet.
All right. So this is sort of like bring your own data, except we're doing all the wiring. So I
Exactly.
know that some customers have been looking at bring your own data through the Azure OpenAI sandbox or through Copilot and things like this. Here it's basically bring your own data, but we're handling the synchronization and the, let's say, the content creation, editing, and updating, and then we're also syncing it, so that if you create these FAQs, they're sort of automatically pushed and wired.
hmm
And then they can also automatically be used as part of the chat workflow and rendered as a portal page.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
all right. Let's see. Can we just go maybe back to the manager UI? And then I think that was about the area that I'd want to cover. Um, I guess, can you just show agent lists just because routing to agents, I think probably will happen significant number of times. And in this case, there's some agent lists that are
hmm
created, but it's easy to add those agent lists. It's easy to associate those with these chat workflows.
Yep. Yep.
And here it's just a few agent lists, but those could be handled as well.
hmm
Um,
Yeah. So you can make any number of agent lists. If you don't want to have them based on the individual language of the agent, you could also have it based on what kind of skill set they have. So maybe they're better at handling VPN issues, or you want to have a separate team for Teams and Outlook password reset, that kind of thing.
Right, or it could be
You
I have
could
hardware
you could go in
problem, or I
here.
have a software, I have an Office 365, or I need a password reset, or so you
Yep.
could have those different agent lists, and then
Exactly.
the pipeline could be configured totally differently, which is, hey, I need an SAP update password or credentials, and that could go to a certain set of people, and then other things
hmm
around password reset or hardware questions.
Exactly. Yep.
All
So
right.
you'd be able
Hey,
to just create a new agent list in here and then have it route to a different
just
different
associate
pipeline
your
section.
agents with it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Hey, well, thank you very much. I know it's getting
Yeah.
late, so
Thanks
thanks
for
for
going through
giving us
that.
the run through on that. And I guess we'll stop the recording. And thank you very much for your time, Patrick.
Yep. Thanks, Peyton.
Okay, see you.